soon as we have everyone seated, we shall begin, if that's okay with you guys.
Now, I know that there's a really long line out the door, and it goes around the hall, and it goes up the hall. I've got a bunch of the people in the room here who've had to go through the halls. But yeah, I want to let everybody know that right now we're live streaming to several hundred people online.
Yay!
If you didn't know what the internet is, I'm told it's a system of tubes.
It's a system of tubes, yes, exactly.
And then occasionally it gets clogged, and then you use a plunger.
It's like unplug it.
Yeah, it happens. But anyway, we are recording this panel, and as soon as we can get the upload bandwidth that we need, it will be posted on YouTube as well. So for those of you who can hear me, who might not make it in the room just because of capacity issues or whatever, fear not. This will be posted. And for those of you here who zone out and miss something, you'll be able to go back and watch it. Radio, huzzah!
By the way, Trav, I would like to thank you and your crew.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to thank you for everything you guys have been working with us this weekend. It's been miraculous having them. So can I give them a round of applause, please?
So I just want to make sure we've got all of the attended guests here.
Meantime, I'm going to take a picture of everybody and then tweet it.
And some of you who may be following me on Twitter, the two of you, I got my first smartphone this weekend. So I too tried to make a tweet.
He doesn't even know what it is.
What's up, tweeting?
So would that make your old phone a dumb phone?
It is a very dumb phone.
Okay, everybody ready?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go on better. I'm going to take some video. Okay, everybody say. I'm going to tweet that. I'm going to tweet the stream. The stream's going to tweet me, and it's going to be like live imitating art, imitating live, imitating you.
Stream is more like a river.
Okay, we
I'm
are
gonna
all...
take a picture from this guy here. I'll see if I can do this right.
Everybody
I'm
talk at the
accepting
same
science.
Now I'm going to take a video of you taking a picture, and then I'm going to take a video of them watching me take a video of you taking a picture, and then they're going to tweet that. Oh my God, it's getting so confusing. We have to go. We have to go. It looks like Inception for ponies.
We're almost done draft, so as soon as I get the okay, we're going to roll.
Do we have everybody here who needs to be here?
I do not think so. I think
We're missing Andrew Francis, please.
I don't know if Andrew Francis is on site. I don't think Andrew never got your list.
Yeah,
Tara's still signing, so...
so we got
Sorry guys, it's just us. Sorry. Only us.
I just tweeted.
That's what you want to hear when you're at a panel. Good enough. Just barely. Good enough. Adequate.
And then thanks for coming.
Okay, I just got word. Tara is doing something special from the voices in my head. So she's going to be on the way. Everyone is on their way right now.
Awesome.
Nice.
Hey Perry,
Yeah.
can you tell one of your lovely staff members, which by the way, let's give a round of applause to the Canterlot Artist staff. It's getting just a little bit balmy.
I have already turned on the air conditioning and I have maxed it down.
This is why this guy rocks. He's already done it before anybody would even ask.
I have an announcement too. the charity the auction that did so well yesterday. We have a day 2 today that we've done, and it's going to be in Artist Alley at 4 o'clock. So that's when the rest of the posters are going to be up for auction, and we're going to be helping Tara Strong's Kiki Foundation thing and all of the charity work for her. So come at 4 o'clock, because I don't want to be auctioneering to a whole room of empty people.
I'm going to walk to the back room.
A room of empty people. How about an empty room with no people? A room of people, and they're all so empty.
A room of empty people, so a room of anti-bronies?
I love your costumes again, you guys. They're awesome.
Also, for some more information for everyone, the backdrop that you see up there is going to be available for auction too.
Whoa.
That large 16-foot backdrop.
Put it on the seal.
There you go, on the seal. How's that? Just be here all week, hang it over here in the door of your house.
I put it on my roof so they can watch it.
You can hang it over your garden.
You could just use it to cover your car.
I'm kind of excited for this. The most VAs we've had on stage at once, and we're gonna have what, 1 or 2 more I think yet? One at least with Tara.
We have one more chair down here though.
I have just been informed Tara is going to be coming down here any minute. Also, almost everyone is able. The line is gone. We are just catching a few stragglers. We will begin as soon as Tara's here.
What do you think when she comes in? Should we stay as quiet as we can? Or should we cheer as loudly as we can?
I know what Tara's doing right
I'm the
now,
world champion of the quiet game.
and you guys are gonna love it.
Well, then I think we should go with cheer. Do you think?
No.
Be quiet.
Complete silence. Since Cheer prides herself on trolling, I think we should do it back to her.
I have a really evil idea with that. What if everybody who's got a smartphone or whatever tweeted hashtag troll at Tara Strong right as she's walking around? Does that sound like a fun idea?
That sounds like a great idea.
I'm on it.
I mean, you're all posting out the smartphone.
But everybody should also be quiet.
My tech director, HVAC, is giving me ugly looks now.
What is it? TWOLL?
Yes.
Yep. She coined the term. Andrea, I see you brought a guest up on stage. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Prudence.
Hi, Prudence.
Prudence, how do you spell your name, right? It starts with a J. No?
Can you spell it?
P69.
No! Prudence. I'm 6.
And you're dressed up as Pinkie Pie right now, right?
No, a rainbow dash. Favorite pony?
Can you do you did some Sonic rain booms for me, right?
Yes.
Can you do some of those? Awesome. Applause, please, for the Sonic rain.
Hey, maybe we should just start singing a song or something.
Awkward silence. Look, a monkey.
Look, a burning light. Oh, wait, wrong con.
Oh, okay.
What a coincidence.
Pony, my little pony. Until you all share this magic with me. Big adventures, tons of fun. A beautiful heart, faithful and strong. Sharing kindness is easy feat, and magic makes it all complete. You're my little pony. Do you know you're all my baby?
have their magic leaves or taking away rips. We should themselves. You know what we do? Okay, we're gonna get the panel started, I think. And what we do is right when she comes to the room.
And I'm ready to do the wall at Tara's Strong. Hashtag Canterlot Garden.
And that's also
Anyone else gonna do that too?
Yeah.
Okay, we need 25 people. Hashtag
Alright, well, you know what? Let's get started then.
Awkward silence.
Awkward silence.
Awkward
We're gonna go with the awkward silence. Internet, you guys have to be silent as well. Except for one guy. I want one person to scream in your house as loudly as you can. By yourself at home.
You realize that there are people now, thousands of people around the world.
No, only one. I
Who are
don't.
hearing this, coordinate.
You have to figure it out on your own. You have about 5 minutes to figure out which one of you, internet, is going to be the screamer.
Well, I think what I'm going to do real quick here is introduce, for those who may not know, who we have on stage here. First to my left is Britt McKillop, the voice of Texas Cadence.
Thank you guys for having me.
To her left is Lee Tokar, the voice of Snips and Stephen Magnet. To his left is Kathy Westlock, the voice of Mayor and Spike.
Real good.
To her left is a 6-year-old singing prodigy, Prudence. Next is Andrea Libben, the voice of Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. And then to her left, you don't speak over Pinkie Pie, or for that matter, Fluttershy.
You rock.
And next we have my good friend Miss Michelle Creever, the voice of Apple Bloom, and the singing voice of both Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle. And last, but certainly not least, Peter New, the voice of Dr. Monitor, of this other character you guys might have heard of. Big Mac? Is that it? Big Mac?
Maybe.
How are you?
Yesterday, I went into the autograph room to just check in with everybody to just, say what's going on. Oh, there he is. Dr. Francis. Everybody, this is Andrew Francis, the voice of Shining Armor and Brayburn.
Dr. Bernstein, pretty good.
You doing better?
I'm doing all right. The gout, don't talk about that.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, shouldn't like Shining Armor sit beside Princess Cadence?
I think that's a yes.
Hey, any of the bronies out there see Rarity? Maybe next time.
I think
Right here. We found her.
Oh man, Rarity! It was just kidding.
We have a plan though. Did you hear our plan?
What's the plan?
As soon as Ms. Strong enters the room, we're all going to go dance. and everybody's been tweeting.
And we'll do the zombie stare.
I think a lot of fans do that already. And it's an adoration. It's nothing less than adoration.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Up. Is it?
For the record, y'all, this is my first time cosplaying. Dear Princess Celestia, I don't know what happened to Tara Strong, but I like this girl.
Twilight!
You need to cosplay. You? What? Cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
All of the voice actors need to cosplay.
Well, the true story is that I went into this autograph room yesterday to see, just talking to people for the panel just to make sure that we had everything arranged. And a minute ago, Peter did his schmoopy-doo. He has a tally. He's been tallying the number of times he said it. I saw you record.
That's not what I was tallying.
What were you tallying?
I was tallying something else entirely.
Oh.
Peter's like in his own world sometimes, so we don't know for sure.
He was telling me the number of green shirts or something.
Yeah, no, I can tell you the number of times I've said schmoopy-doo, though here, I believe it's 3.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Say it again. Make it 4. Make it 4.
Okay, you'll get 4. At some point.
Well, so how's everyone doing?
Schmoopy-doo! It's timing, right?
Sense of when to pause.
Yeah.
And when to interject.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask a question that I asked earlier this year for a lot of people here, but I think a lot of people who are at Canterlot Gardens, this is the first convention and the first time seeing one of these panels, and I just wanted to ask, if you guys could just talk about how you got involved with My Little Pony, just go down the line. How did you start voicing for My Little Pony?
Well, I came in season 1 to do Brayburn, and then for season 2 I got the audition for Shining Armor. We get it maybe about a week before. Went over the stuff, went in, you get the call, and I'd known the show had been going for a little while. I didn't know there was such a fandom behind it, but we got in there and just being around the talent that's in Vancouver. I mean, these girls just absolutely slay it. So.
Oh, thanks, man. That's super.
And so it was an honor to get in the studio and record with everybody.
Well, I have a pretty similar story. I went in for actually a couple of auditions for Princess Cadence, and I was actually really nervous because I don't often do singing parts, and so for my audition for that, I practiced the song several times, and I finally got the call a couple weeks later, and I realized that I would get to work with all of these people who I've known for a long time, so it was really cool to get to go back in and work with all my friends, so it was awesome.
I went in with Richard Ian Cox, and we were both auditioning for either Snips or Snails. They didn't know which one of us. They just knew that they wanted Richard and I to work together, and they didn't know which character we would suit, but they thought that we were silly together because we played silly things off each other before, and so I auditioned for Snips and Snails, and so did he, and I got Snips and he got Snails, because his is, hello, Sawyer, and mine was like, hello, Baxter talking, you know, he's really slow, and so he's kind of like a snail's pace, slow, and then I got called in many episodes later for Steven, and Terry Klassen, the director, just said, okay, we got Steven Magnet, he's a sea serpent, and he's kind of fabulous. And I didn't know what that meant, and so I said, well, how fabulous do you want him? And so he said, pretty fabulous. So I said, what a world! And he goes, no, a little bit more fabulous. So I go, what a world! He goes, yeah, right about there. That's good. Anyway.
That's his story.
I went into the audition like any other audition that came up and saw a cute little spiky wikey sitting there. And I told the story before a bit, but he seemed like more like a little baby dragon than a young boy dragon. And so I did the usual auditions, and
I tried to make him up here, just a little bit later than that, stuff like that. So he's kind of like, oh wow, just a little bit younger than he is, stuff like that.
But then they wanted him to go a little older, so then I just adjusted him a little bit and hoped for the best, and tried out for some of the other characters too, Snips and Snails.
Started doing stuff like this and not knowing what kind of stuff to do and how it would work.
And you go in with the idea of doing as many as you can do and hope for the best. And I was lucky to get Spike, and Mayor was an incidental character that came later. So that's my story.
I was really nervous for my audition because I always loved My Little Pony. So when anything comes up like that that's really special to you, that's something that you've grown up with, that you love, I get all worked up and crazy. So I think that worked well for Pinkie Pie. and then having Fluttershy too is just like a really great surprise. So I feel lucky to have two awesome characters.
Well, I was really excited to audition for what sounded like it was going to be a really awesome show, and it turned out to be, of course, awesome because we've got my fellow voice actors are really amazing, and we're all good friends. So, but I auditioned for all the young characters, and to be honest with you, I don't really remember what happened. It was a long time ago. I didn't expect to get Apple Bloom. I just kind of did a country accent. I didn't really know what I was doing because I never professionally did a country accent in a recording studio. And so they give you a description, and so I followed that. And she said they wanted her cute and everything, so I just followed it. And to be honest with you, I thought I'd get Sweetie Belle, but because I'm a singer, and then I auditioned for that. If I was to get a character. And then I got the singing voice of Sweetie Belle and my cute little Apple Bloom, so I'm all happy and it's all good.
I got my audition for episode 4 of season 1, so they were already recording when I came along, and I didn't have a whole lot of warning. I just remember showing up at the studio and having a piece of paper with a monologue on it. And they said, we want, he doesn't have any of these lines in this episode, but we want you to be able to say this in case, we want to be able to hear what he sounds like in the future, if we ever give him lines. So, we'd like you to read the monologue, and the monologue was some, well, wise old thing, and if you run into this kind of trouble, you have to, whatever, I don't remember it, but, several lines long, and I went in and did that, and then they said, and now can you just say yeah? and no? Okay, great. But it's one of these auditions that the studio sometimes does where they bring in a few actors in the morning of the day that they're going to record the session, and you audition for it, and Lauren Faust is on the phone, and they're listening to you behind the glass, and you leave the room, and then the actors gather in the ante room, and then time passes, you get I get the most nervous at that point in these auditions, and then someone comes out and points at one of you, and you go into the studio and record the show, and everybody else goes home. And I've been on both sides of that equation.
It's called the voice off.
The walk of shame audition, yeah. And I've been on both sides of the walk of shame audition. I was quite happy not to be on one side and very happy to be on the other side in that particular case, because I really enjoyed saying yep and the occasional longer thing.
Now, usually I would have just asked you if Tara Strong, how she got involved with My Little Pony, but being that Twilight Sparkle herself is here, I wanted to know, I think all the fans have been wondering for a long time, where is that portal from Equestria? I don't know, this is blowing my mind, I'm gonna be honest. I've done a lot of these panels. I think you've set the bar higher by cosplaying as your character.
I have leg warmers.
In all seriousness, maybe you can talk about how you got involved.
Oh, I have a great story. So Lauren Faust and I worked on Foster's Home and Powerpuff Girls. Called me up and she said, did you play with and did you like My Little Pony? And I actually grew up in a toy store and had every single one, so I was like, yes. She said, can I come over? Yes. And she actually came to my home and she had all these incredible drawings of Equestria and Canterlot and all the characters, and really, really blew my mind. And there's no question that the reason it's translating to all the adult fans is because of how beautiful her vision of My Little Pony is and was. And she asked me if I'd help her record a sizzle, which is a short amount of film to pitch to Hasbro and the Hub, and I said yes. And I actually have my own studio at my house, and we went upstairs and I recorded Pinkie Pie, Twilight, and I think it was one more.
Rarity.
Shoot, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, and so I recorded all three for her. Yeah, and she originally thought that maybe I'd be more the Pinkie Pie because it's Bubbles-like, and then as soon as she heard me do Twilight, she's like, that's my Twilight, so that's my story.
Are you sure you guys just didn't sit around and play My Little Pony?
We did that after! Actually, when I just worked with her on the Super Best Friends little shorts, I brought her, I had my sister mail from Toronto, I had a sticker collection with all the original stickers that I collected, and I signed it to her. And I also, as a little kid, collected unicorns, and when I first moved to LA, it was scary. And my mom said to me in 1994, don't lose your unicorn. And my mom's passed away now, so I just think that's so interesting that she kind of said that to me. But I did give her the sticker album, and I said, thank you for helping me find my unicorn, and I signed it to her.
This is your first MLP convention. What is your general reaction to what you see here? This is your first time seeing this in person, isn't it?
Yes, ever. It's quite overwhelming. I never, ever expected it to be like this. It has just been the most amazing experience. And now I just want to do them all. They're so awesome, and the fans are so great. You guys are awesome fans. So
now, one thing that I think would get you invited to almost all of these conventions is if you could give them, a demonstration of your character. Do you remember the line that we talked about yesterday?
The line?
Yeah.
This day was going to be perfect, right, Shining Armor?
That's right.
Shining Armor says.
That's right. Wow. But, for the rest of you guys, this is, I think, for a lot of you, your third convention or your second convention. And what I wanted to know is, do you use these conventions as a bragging point with other VAs that you work with? Like, do you go back to the recording sessions for the other shows you work on and say, yeah, I got this fandom here, okay?
Actually, there's a funny story. There was an audition a couple days ago, and I think Peter, I saw Peter there. And, And we were there, and we're sort of talking. So, oh yeah, when are you leaving? We're doing this thing. And I forget the other voice actor who was there, but I saw him sort of go, you know. So we sort of keep talking. So he goes, you guys going to conventions and stuff? Like, yeah, it's no big deal and stuff. And he's like, I'm really jealous. And you have to get lucky to get one of these great shows that have such a big fandom, because, you know, we do a lot of cartoons in Vancouver, but the majority, like 98% of them, don't have any of this, right? So I think we just got really lucky.
So what you're saying is, you know, he asked you if you can go to all these conventions over, and you just said, that's right.
That's right.
I actually find that there's a lot of pony envy from other VO actors on Twitter. And it's amazing how many of them say, hi bronies, and make a pony of me, and they have pony envy. And it's so funny because I also have been doing cartoons since I was 13, and I've never seen a fan base as awesome as the My Little Pony fan base. All of you who have given to Kiki's Fund. The bronies have raised over $60,000 for this one little girl, and she wouldn't be here without you guys. And yeah, I see it all the time where people are like, I have pony envy.
I think an entire language has been created by the whole pony thing, and thanks to you guys. I mean, from memes to Twilight-licious and Twilight. You know, and all these terms, and this is like a completely different community, and like it's phenomenal. We're all excited by it, and it's just expanding. It's just so hi to everybody in Europe and around the world, and thanks for joining us, and thanks for the support. It's just so awesome.
And even high as far away as the back of this room. I can only see tops of heads in most cases, but let's stand up for a second.
I just want to take a step back a second. Wait a second, Tara, you're on Twitter?
Yes, I think so.
What's Twitter?
Well, I was going to say, one thing I found that's kind of interesting about these conventions is that it's bringing together the two different, you know, geographic groups that are involved in making the show. As I've talked about in other conventions and, you know, in the course of other interviews, the majority of the voice actors, well, almost all except for you, Tara, live in Vancouver, operate out of Vancouver. You're all Canadian, but and then the writers.
So what? What about what you've seen there?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, but the point is that you know, a lot of the production staff are in Vancouver, and a lot of the writing and, you know, and the producers are in Los Angeles. And I wanted to know if, you know, these conventions and this fandom has brought those two groups closer together for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad that I don't get to work with all these great actors, and I did go up there for the first episode, but I haven't met, I mean, I've never met Cadence till today. I don't even think we've officially met. I'm Tara. Hi.
I just officially met her today too. I remember in New York, I didn't know Tara Strong. I didn't know who she was because I'd never seen her. We're all on the show, and I didn't know. I'd heard her voice on a lot of different shows, and I've been in lots of shows. And I saw her, and I'm like, and you are. And then I followed her into the convention center, and the whole place erupted. I'm like, well, that's obviously not for me. So who is this person I'm walking by?
I assumed it was for me because I was with you as well.
That's what the heck has Peter been doing on the weekends?
But it is true on Twitter, like Andrea and I chat all the time. I actually tried to get her to cosplay, so I challenged you for the next con to join me. In fact, I challenged all of you. But you're right, it's definitely brought us all together for sure.
Well, and I think
I'm actually cosplaying as myself right now.
Best cosplay.
And we want to bring attention too to Megan McCarthy over here, the writers.
And you know, like, you don't usually meet like sort of the composers and the writers and the storyboard people and stuff like that. So, you know, we go in for 4 hours, which would be an episode, and we do that one block, and we see the people that we see, and that's all we see.
Yeah, we actually met some of the artists who work literally upstairs from where we recorded, and we don't meet them.
And we would never see them, right?
Yeah,
So
we met them in
that
Seattle.
Sense, yeah, this sort of brings us together in that sense. We wouldn't have seen the back end of it, you know? Well, I get a better word.
That's not
I
very
get a
polite,
sneaky-
Andrew.
We haven't seen their flanks, is what he's saying.
It came in a little weird.
That's right.
Marks.
No, you know, I get a sneaking suspicion that a few of those artists are actually watching right now. So Sibsy, Raven, Jim, hi. You guys want to say hi to the storyboarders? I bet they're watching right now. Sibsy. And of course, big shout out to Jason Thiessen and James Wooten and all of them at DHX. I mean, they do an incredible job. So, and of course Daniel Ingram, who we'll be hearing from on Skype.
Daniel. And to Terry Klassen, who voice directs us.
Oh yeah.
All right, Johnny.
Yeah, very
Uncle
good.
Terrence.
Terrence.
Well, my next question for you is, for each of you, for your main characters that you play, what is the most defining characteristic to you? Because I imagine when you're acting them, you might be keeping one personality trait in mind that you use to draw it out. I know that Lee, when you draw on a voice, you usually focus on one phrase, like you're saying with Stephen Magnet to me.
Well, and when you're coming up with new characters, I tell my students just the way to keep it in your head is come up with a catchphrase. And so obviously Stevens is "What a world!" or "Fabulous!" or "I'm hideous!" or something like that. I mean, when he only says a couple words so far, that's hard. It's easy to keep that in mind. But with Snips, it's just the great and powerful Trixie, and that's my phrase, and I can go to that part of my brain anytime. But you know, Snips, I just have to imagine that I've just drank a pot and a half of coffee. And with Stephen Magnet, I just have to imagine that I am behind somebody and doing their hair and talking.
I get the feeling that Andrew Francis just says, you know, one line.
I go, Twiley, and actually I was writing it all with it. I say, hey Twiley, and I just boom, drop right in. It's that easy.
How do you prefer Braver?
What about Braver?
When doing cadence, I usually think just grace and charm, and she's very kind, and so I just really have to put that in my brain, and that's how it comes out.
For Spike, I mean, I have to go to the boy thing, obviously. So I have to sort of become the character, and a lot of people have asked me in teaching as well how you sustain a boy character if you're a woman and you're having to hold that character. And I've always said you have to feel like you're actually the boy. You have to be kind of like that and sort of talking like that. Yeah, whatever, I don't know, kind of thing. Whereas girls,
You talk like this, and they've got their hair, and they just do stuff like this, and they twirl it and stuff like that. So
it's different from the boy. But the things that I have to say most often is, Dear Princess Celestia, and Rarity. So they slip me in pretty quick.
Rainbow Dash, how do you get into your character?
Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie. Exactly. When I think Pinkie Pie, I just think really, really fast and really, really crazy and fast and crazy, and I just do whatever comes to my head. That's Pinkie Pie. Fluttershy is just the opposite. She's slower and soft and nervous.
Well, Kathy was saying that you have to really sort of physically be the character, and that's exactly what all of us do. Like, if someone videotaped us in the recording studio, we're all like this. And so when we're talking, we're like moving our arms around the microphone. And so with Apple Bloom, it's like you have to get really high up into the character because it's sort of like it's hard to explain. So I often like it's so weird to explain how you do your voice. You know, it just kind of comes to you once you do it after a while. So I just think it's you just have to get used to it and practice, and so I think that all of us have really molded into our characters really well.
the first few times I had to go to the studio to do Big Mac, it was all about posture. So it's the same thing. It's about physicalizing it. And if I sort of had to do this, kind of go.
I'm gonna take a picture of that side view right now.
If I did that, and I kind of, I ended up putting my whole self into my belly and down low, and it allowed me to kind of get into this part of my voice and range, and now I can do it naturally because I'm used to it. But that first few times I practiced in front of the mirror, so I could see what I was doing. So that
Did you like that when you looked in the mirror and did that?
I wish my.
It was cute.
Yeah, thanks.
When I think about Twilight, the main theme of her character, I think, is, for me, conscientious, because she's just so conscientious on so many different levels about, doing everything right, not being tardy, and, making sure her friends are happy and making sure she's getting all of her studying done and making sure everything's going well, and she's always sort of thinking ahead, and that's sort of where I put my character. And I don't really have so much of a catchphrase, but when people ask me to do it, I always say, "Dear Princess Celestia." Always.
See, and we go together, right?
Yep.
That's great. I think on behalf of Tabitha St. Germain, who couldn't be here, I just have to say it. Look, there's a moose. No, well, okay, I know that you guys have read a ton of scripts, and I know that you've been doing, well over 50 episodes now, but I wanted to know, for the work you've done with My Little Pony, if there's a favorite moment that you've acted in the show, like a memorable one, something that sticks out that you enjoyed voicing.
Why don't we start at this end?
Yeah,
and
go
go
for it.
this time?
Well, I always love when Twilight goes crazy. Thank you, Megan McCarthy. But I do have to say, in watching the episodes, my favorite was the wedding special, so how lovely that you're all here. And I just think those moments where Twilight was really humbled and had to admit she was wrong for a little bit, I really liked those moments because they seemed so real to me, which is, I think, another reason that the show translates. All the acting isn't, so cartoony over the top that we lose the organic nature of what's really happening. And I felt like that moment for Twilight was so real, and I really liked that moment.
I like the moment where I chewed out the Cutie Mark Crusade.
Because you actually got to speak.
And I like, partly because I got to say something. Partly because I think the writing, it was very clever writing. I thought very, very smart when I saw that script to reverse the roles of those two characters. And so it was a joy to come in and do it.
And my favorite moment for Apple Bloom was the Cutie Pox episode. Not just because I got to do a lot of fun voices and I also got to speak in French and everything. Qu'est-ce que c'est? But also at the end, there was this really sort of moment for Apple Bloom as well. She finally admitted that she lied, and it was nice because she admitted it almost just to her sister Applejack, because I have a brother and that really meant a lot to me, so I could translate to that. And so I just brought it into my own life. And you put yourself into your character. Sometimes you put your own heart into it, and I love that episode a lot, so it's close to my heart.
One of my favorites with Fluttershy is when she's interacting with Rainbow Dash and learning how to cheer. That's how I do. Yay! And for Pinkie Pie, I really like Party of One.
I think Spike is at his best when he's in conflict. And because you get to see different sides of him rather than just being the loyal assistant to Twilight. He gets nervous over Rarity all the time, and he's only got so much time to tell her this and that. But Owl's Well That Ends Well is still my favorite because it's just so sweet. And some of the, I'm a one assistant, like, don't you know who I am? Kind of thing. And then he runs away and the whole thing. So when he gets into those little situations, I just find him so charming. And it gives me a chance as the actor to explore those different areas. So, and that's the favorite. Yeah, Owl's Well That Ends Well is my favorite one.
Well, obviously, I want to say that Stephen Magnet, when he becomes so fabulous, is when I finally was allowed to go there, was my favorite. That moment when Terry Klassen said more. I was like, really, like this? And he goes, yeah, like this, and then like this. And I was like, okay, and okay. But I want to say that the reason I like the character is that, and it's a fun character, and it was really fun to do that. Because I don't get a chance to play that kind of character very often. I mean, it's a far cry from Covert Agent Ravage, the last Decepticon. It's a far cry from that, or the other characters that I get to play, which are they're all silly, and they all end up getting squashed or stretched or whatever. But at least 4 times now since I started going to these cons, I've had young people, young men usually, and they've come up to me in one way or another and said, thank you for making OK to be so fabulous. And so that's kind of, I'm like, oh, cool, that's kind of awesome, that's right, that's what this is all about. But honestly, as an interactive experience for me, because Snips and Snails aren't in a lot of the shows, but when they do, I really like playing opposite. And so it's usually in a lot of the other cartoons, I get to interact with you guys a lot. So I don't really get to do that except with Snails. And one day Snails will come out to one of these things, I swear. He's kind of a family man, it's Richard Ian Cox, but when we're together, our interaction is where he's so funny and we get a chance to play and be funny together. So that's what I really like, is when we get to, I get to be really fast and he gets to be really, what? That kind of thing.
You don't need electricity when the two of them are together?
No. Yeah. You sort of sit
Just
back.
saying.
You really can't put a word in edgewise, actually.
Yeah, so that's what, those are my favorite moments. And then other than just watching all these silly little monkeys playing is excellent.
My favorite moment would have to be when my character is first introduced, and Cadence and Twilight haven't seen each other in a very long time, and just their interaction, and it just shows how warm the character is and how loving she is. And then I'd also have to say when I get to sing. So.
I guess my favorite part was the big monologue where I'm chewing Twiley out. I don't know why. But I think just because I got to show...
rivalry.
Yeah. I got to show a lot of emotion in that monologue, and a lot of Shining Armor stuff is very straight, it's very genuine, it's very down to business. And that was a little chance that I sort of got to take the stage, and we did the monologue about 2 or 3 times, and just, as you probably know, it builds, and it builds, and it builds to this sort of crescendo. And so it was fun sort of just finding the pacing and the beats to kind of get to this kind of almost a rage-ish place, and then to know that he's actually, the Twilight's right, and that things are going down. It was just fun. It was a really fun monologue to do.
Well, this is something actually that Nicole Oliver has mentioned too in other panels and other conventions, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make it here. She has some shooting to do, I believe, in Eastern Canada. That's right. In Halifax, yeah. So actually, I wanted to give her a quick, shout out and just get a round of applause for Nicole Oliver. She said that one of her favorite moments was that moment where Celestia is in conflict with Chrysalis, and it just those moments of conflict where your characters are pushed to the extreme. It seem to be the most popular with the voice actors. Would you say that's true, where your character is outside of their element?
I think you get to feel a lot when you do that, you know what I mean? So yeah, most definitely. Like when we do our characters, we sort of get in a groove, and it's like having that line, he's like, Twiley or something, you just kind of sit in that zone. So to really kind of expand from that and to show sort of a different side of the character, that's where the creativity comes. So you really get to sort of think outside the box. So yeah, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why the show has become so popular is because, as Tara said, it's not just another cartoon with silly voices and it's not just another children's show. These are real characters that people can relate to, that have, and also it's the backstories, and that has something to do with the brilliant writers that we have. And I think that people just are really intrigued by the dynamic of all the characters and the way that that they learn lessons and are hurt, but then their friends help them back up, especially the main six. I mean, I think everybody loves the main six and all the groups of friends and everything. It's just a really nice show, and it makes people happy. It makes me happy. I love watching the show. It's great.
Is it really hot in here?
Yes, it is.
I'm melting.
I'm melting. Just think cold, and all the elves up working on the North Pole up there getting ready for Christmas already. I'm just saying, just saying. They brought me in here and I'm melting. I'm used to being up there in North Pole with Santa, see? I don't know what I'm doing here, but
New York
here I am.
Whoever's standing back there near the door, I see someone in a Soren. Yep, you. I'm pointing right at you. You're looking to the right. Yes, you are standing right next to the AC box. If you press the down button until it says really cold, you will be let out.
Really? Is that all we needed to do this whole time?
Does it have a Siberia setting? Probably near the bottom, really.
Yeah.
Underneath, maybe.
Push back into Siberia
We're going to turn us all into ponysickles.
Ponysicle. Is this like a bike?
My Russian heritage is screaming at me right now. And I don't get to.
Come on, Mike, you can do that.
I can do the Russian accent. Well, going back to what we were talking about just a minute ago, one thing I think that's interesting is that you guys as voice actors really enjoy the moments where the characters are pushed to their extreme. But I also know that the writers like Megan McCarthy, Amy King Rogers, and I've also talked to M.A. Larson and Charlotte Fullerton, that they've said that those are their favorite scenes to write. And so I think that's kind of an interesting confluence there, that the writers and the VAs both find those moments to be the most potent. So just want to throw that out.
And I have to thank the writers again, because I know in all the years that I've been doing voice, which is way too long.
It's about over 20 years now, and I don't have my cane with me. I'm in disguise. This is actually my real voice, by the way.
Actually, real quick, who here was at Everfree Northwest? Can you show of hands? Bajati, thank you. If anybody remembers the interaction they did where they were doing the old people voices, I've been told that it has been animated. And so we were going to try and show it, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get it up on the screen for this panel. But you guys look for it to be posted and tweeted about, because it has been animated already.
So get your glasses. Watch.
That's the kind of stuff.
Lee is sitting on the edge of his seat hungrily because
that's the kind of stuff I want.
I just wanted to finish my thought, though, because I was saying to them that the writers...
In the show, I won't say especially in the show, but it's one of the shows where, as a voice actor, it is so easy to get into your role and just to perform, because the writing is so excellent. Seriously, and I truly mean that. It's just a joy to read their scripts. It's wonderful.
Well, I think in a minute here we're going to go to Q&A. And the way it's going to work is that Miss Rena Chan and Miss Meredith are going to have a microphone. Remember that before you ask a question, first of all, you're going to need to raise your hand. Ask good questions, but also remember that these guys, no matter how much they may want to, can't talk about Season 3, except to confirm that it is happening.
Hey, look! A moose!
There it is. That's right.
Hey, I have a cube. Can I get some water?
Oh, boy.
Not mine, but I might have some pony cooties.
I'm melting.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, can't ask. We can't get any details on season 3 yet. It is coming out soon. But otherwise, if you have a question for one of these VAs here, these guys.
Should we go on a line or should we just walk around?
I think if you walk around, yeah.
Walk around and do it?
Yep.
Okay, who gets to go first? He's raising both hands. Here, I'm gonna do this really fast. Sorry.
I got 2 questions.
And now they're gone.
I think your question is for you, Andrea.
Yeah.
One sec. In the meantime, we'll have a little song to sing.
Elevator music.
Elevator music.
Everybody, a round of applause for Miss Prudence.
Alright.
In the Party of One episode, had Rainbow Dash not come back for Pinkie Pie and had the main 6 continue to blow her off. Could you walk us through